Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to This Explainer, where we're going to unpack one of the most unexpected and frankly mind-blowing connections I've ever come across. I mean, we're bridging a massive gap of over a century today. We're looking at how a notoriously provocative avant-garde artist from the 1890s somehow holds the fundamental blueprint for cutting-edge modern sports science. Seriously, if you want to understand how top-tier athletes prevent injuries today, we actually have to start by looking at some incredibly intense art from the past. Just look at the crazy contrast here. On the left, you've got a classical, rough, highly stylized sketchbook drawing by the Austrian painter Egon Schiele. And then right next to it, a highly tuned, modern, muscular athlete in mid-motion. The contrast is totally jarring, right? And it poses this really fascinating question. What on earth does an artist born in 1890, a guy known for these tortured, twisted portraits, have to do with today's elite gym routines and peak athletic performance? At first glance, you'd think absolutely nothing. But as we peel back the layers, you're going to see they are actually speaking the exact same language of the human body. To really get this connection, we have to totally change how we look at Schiele's art. Because he didn't just draw bodies, he drew the internal state of a nervous system. When you look at his work, you immediately notice these jagged, angular, deeply uncomfortable lines. Now, for decades, art critics just brushed that off as a stylistic choice. But if you look at it through the lens of modern physiology, those harsh, tense lines are actually highly accurate maps. He was mapping human tension, deep-seated vulnerability, and the internal physical resistance that the body just holds on to. He wasn't drawing what the skin looked like. He was literally drawing what the muscles and nerves felt like. I want you to look really closely at this one. Check out the posture, the shadows, the way the figure is just holding itself. You can almost feel the physical discomfort radiating out from it. This is the body exposed, revealing hidden internal tensions. The body is essentially expressing its discomfort despite itself. Because, even when we try to stand perfectly still or act completely natural, our internal states, our stress, our old injuries, our mental load, they always find a physical outlet. They twist our posture, they hike up a shoulder, they shift our weight. Schiele saw all of this invisible tension and practically forced it out into the open. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what he was seeing, translated right into clinical terms. When Schiele drew a shoulder that seemed unnaturally high, he wasn't just being dramatic. He was documenting what we now officially diagnose as a hypertonic trapezius muscle compensating for something else. When he drew a knee buckling inward, well, that is a classic textbook sign of gluteus medius inhibition. And when he drew those twisted, off-center torsos, he was capturing hip displacement and hidden structural drift. I mean, these are exact medical-grade physical tells. He was basically performing a clinical diagnosis of physiological compensation entirely through charcoal sketches. So how in the world did a 19th century artist do this without any modern medical training? Well, the answer is a concept called interoception. Managed by the anterior insula in your brain, this is your ability to integrate internal body signals. So things like your heart rate, really subtle muscle tension, and your general sense of comfort or discomfort. Schiele's famous artistic gift was actually an extraordinarily tuned interoceptive state. It's a neurological trait that modern science shows is actually super rare in such extremes. His biological ability to feel and observe internal bodily states was just totally off the charts. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that Schiele actually knew this about himself. In his journals around 1910, he wrote, "I have never denied myself. I am several men in one." He intuitively understood his own extreme interoceptive state. He wasn't just guessing, he was meticulously documenting his own nervous system. In fact, he produced over 100 self-portraits. And he didn't do it out of vanity or narcissism. He was literally using his own body as a scientific subject of study, using his intense internal awareness to map out what his external eye was observing. But here is where we bridge the gap to today. Because having this precise internal awareness has massive, measurable benefits. It's a two-front advantage. First, for athletes, precise interoception directly correlates with better performance and optimal athletic output. Think about it. If you know exactly what every single muscle is doing, you can push them perfectly. And second, it leads to emotional regulation. High interoceptive awareness reduces anxiety and creates a much more grounded overall body awareness. It is an incredibly highly desirable trait. Let's move to and see how this builds into the core problem athletes face today. This is the danger zone, intermediate states and hidden injuries. We always kind of assume injuries happen when we push our absolute maximum, right? The heaviest lift, the fastest out-and-out sprint. But actually, scratch that. Injuries build up in what we call intermediate states. These are the tens of thousands of entirely normal, everyday repetitions, like your standard morning jog or a daily lifting routine, where the body is caught in a state of tension somewhere between rest and maximum effort. During these mundane movements, if your body is secretly compensating for a slight weakness, your movement schema drifts imperceptibly. You don't even feel it happening, but the damage is compounding rep after rep.
So the crucial point is that catching these invisible compensations before they become catastrophic injuries is basically the holy grail of sports medicine. And this is exactly what Dr. Christophe Delong and the Kinexa training program present today. They are out there actively hunting for the exact same compensating schemas, the high shoulders, the inward knees, the structural drift that Egon Schiele was drawing with a piece of charcoal over a century ago. They are connecting that historical blueprint of body awareness directly to the modern athlete you see right here.
And that brings us to the Kinexa wearable device, or what they like to call the line of truth. It's just such a satisfying visual leap, isn't it? I mean, we've gone from the rough paper and charcoal of a 19th century sketchbook to this sleek, glowing carbon fiber piece of modern, data-driven sports technology. This device is designed to do exactly what Schiele's eyes did naturally, but it uses hard data to amplify that biological sensitivity and make it completely, objectively measurable. The Kinexa methodology runs on this really clean three-step loop. First up, detect, catching that structural drift and identifying those hidden compensation schemes long before they result in a blown-out knee or a torn muscle. Next is amplify. They feed measurable data back to the athlete to train and reinforce their own interoceptive sensitivity. It literally teaches them to feel what the machine is feeling. And finally, performance. By perfectly aligning the body and removing those nasty compensations, they transform that heightened body awareness into optimal, injury-free athletic output. It's just incredible to think that the key to unlocking this massive leap in modern athletic performance was hiding in the sketches of a 19th century artist the whole time. It really makes you think about your own physical state, doesn't it? So, what invisible tensions is your body compensating for right now? Are your shoulders creeping up a bit? Is your weight shifted over to one side? Take a second, tune into your own interoceptive state, and check your posture. You might just feel exactly what Schiele saw. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.